my pockets auto-filled, and I was trying to move little old Biff around the neighborhood, and his his house disappeared in my pockets. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Welcoming gamers to the next episode of the Rambling Gamers podcast. Today's episode is going to feature 3 talented Animal Crossing creators as we discuss Switch modding and some spicy designs. We're going to welcome in Kerri, Tari, and Calia as we discuss Animal Crossing and learn a little bit more about them and maybe the process about modding. And just so everybody knows, we're not going to be discussing actual programs or certain things that people have done to mod their Switch. So if you do, you can always join my Discord or DM me, or I would say one of the creators, but I don't know if they want to be DM'd. So just DM me, join the Discord, and then you can, know a little bit more. We're going to roll right into these questions. We're not going to have any breaks or discussions before. So we're going to learn right now where these amazing creators got into Animal Crossing. And let's start off with Kerri. How did you get into Animal Crossing? Was it a friend, a family? You see people online? How'd you get into it?
It was actually a friend of mine. It was around Christmas time in 2020. So I was a little late to the game. And they were telling me they got this game and it was kind of like The Sims and you could decorate. I was like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm going to buy this game on a whim. And I borrowed my fiance's Switch and I was like, I'm going to play a game on your Switch. And then that's all she wrote. I was hooked from day one.
Man. So by borrowed, you mean this is mine now, right?
Basically, we did share an island at the start, and then by like March the next year, I already had my own console. I was ready to make my own island.
Oh man, how about you, Tari? How'd you get in Animal Crossing?
So, when the game first came out, my daughter wanted me to buy it for her, and I told her no. Mm. And I was playing Sims pretty heavy at the time, and I started to get like a little burnt out on it. And I was like, you know what? I have a Switch. Let me see what kind of game to play. And I found Animal Crossing and I bought it. And that was it for me. I was hooked too. So
isn't that funny? I've heard that a few times where someone says, yeah, my kids wanted it and I ended up taking the Switch from them. I think I've heard that a few.
She still resents me to this day.
Well, you know what? We were talking earlier and you're the one cooking dinner. So you know what? She can't say nothing right now.
Exactly.
How about you, Calia? How did you get in Animal Crossing?
I've been playing a lot longer. Like when me and my husband met, we were 20 and we were playing on the Wii. I think it was City Folk released for the Wii. So we played that. And then when the 3DS one came out, the New Leaf, we played that like crazy. And we were like pre-ordered, ready to go for New Horizons when it was announced.
I didn't even know they were releasing a new Animal Crossing until like the day of. My friend messaged me. And he was like, you would love this game. You're in architecture. There's design. There's cute animals. And I was just like, no. I don't want to spend $60. We're going to be locked up in a house. And then the next day I woke up and I was like, we're going to be locked in a house. I need to download this game. So Kerri and Tara, you guys did not play previous versions of Animal Crossing then?
No.
Okay.
No, I never did. I didn't even know about Animal Crossing before I first played.
Okay.
No, same.
So
yeah, I was a complete noob.
Yeah. So Calia is the only, veteran here for Animal Crossing. Is there something that you wish New Horizons had that New Leaf and City Folk used to have?
They had some cool NPCs in New Leaf. Like Gracie had like seasonal furniture, and they had like a whole little city area, which they kind of made Harves into actually with the new update, I guess. So they kind of did that. But ultimately, I mean, New Horizons is amazing, right? Like it's the Animal Crossing game I never even would have imagined, right?
Yeah. Especially with all the freedom to design. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that and how modding has expanded on that, especially. But I want to hear everybody's first time designing their first island, back in when you first got the game. Let's start off with Tari. Like, how did the first design go? Or maybe not even in the first DA, but when you were just playing around, like, what did that look like?
So when I say I was a complete noob, I mean it. I didn't know like how to get items. I didn't have any friends that played. So like I would get like, like the vending machines, like the Nook Mall items that
Mm-hmm.
you could buy. And I made my very first area was literally like iron fence, like those two little like public benches and like two vending machines. And I thought I was like the bee's knees. Like I was like, this is the coolest thing, ever. Like my villagers would sit on it and like they could get candy out of it, but I never could, and I didn't understand
And
why.
I was so jealous they were able to use things you weren't back then,
Yeah.
or even sit
But
under a tree.
yeah, and it like it took me forever to like get the 3 stars and get KK and all of that. So like once that opened up, like I was making waterfalls like crazy.
Don't go chasing
So
waterfalls.
yeah.
Sorry. No. I mean my buttocks right there.
Yeah.
How about you, Kerri? How did your first design go?
So for my first island, I did share it with my fiance, so we both were building on it.
Mm.
But I had my friend who had introduced me to it, so I would visit her island, and I saw she had the Plaza teacups, and I was like, I need that item.
Mm-hmm.
And so she gifted it to me, and I like built like a little amusement park. I was so proud of it. I remember I went in the design portal and I downloaded like a Danny DeVito design code of his face. I had that everywhere on my island. It was a mess, but I loved it.
Is this DA still available?
It is, but I mean, we've done some revamping since the initial days.
Wait, is Danny DeVito still there?
He might be hidden somewhere as a design.
I want to see Danny.
I should go revisit.
Oh man, how about you, Kayla? Were you getting into design first thing, or were you more kind of just having fun doing your dailies?
I did a lot. Yeah, we did a lot of dailies at first, but I also had like a big sea of hyacinths
Oh.
in the front. I remember it was like just mostly flowers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never did a DA though.
Now, what was everyone's native fruit for their first island? Mine was apples.
Peaches.
Pear?
Cherries.
Oh. Now, isn't it based off of when you were born, like your birthday?
Is it?
I don't.
The flowers were.
The flower.
Like you could only have
You're right.
certain...
The flowers are. But I thought the fruit was based off of the season you were born as well.
Maybe.
Really?
And now I don't. Now I'm like questioning. I have to give it a Goog real quick. But you guys were Tari. You were talking about the vending machine. That was like me, and everybody was locked up in the beginning, and I shared an island with my better half, and she would play after I went to bed. Well, we weren't really doing anything, so I would stay up. But like sometimes I would go to bed, and then I'd wake up in the morning, and I would turn on the switch because she was working from home, but I wasn't working, so she knew I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna play Animal Crossing as soon as I wake up. So I would turn it up, and she would put random things around the island for me. And I would just crack. I'm like, where did this vending machine come from? Where did these decoy ducks come from? She's like, yeah, I put 10 of them. Go find them all. And I'm just.
Oh, that's so fun.
It was a fun way of like a hide and seek and sort of way. But she wasn't really as much into the design. But I definitely had fun making like a neighborhood and all that stuff in the beginning. So.
Oh yeah, once I knew that you could do those things, I never stopped, obviously.
Right. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
my mind was blown when we could start terraforming. I was like, wait, I can do water where I want?
Yeah.
And levels, like
Yeah, like my first official entrance was a humongous waterfall. Like it was like, I loved it.
I remember when I was first playing and I got the KK concert and like the credits rolled. I was like, is the game over? Like, then I had to like go Google and it's like, oh, the game's just begun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know, right? Yeah, it's like, oh, after 30 days, you got the big nooks now, you got the terraform.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, oh, like you said, the game's just beginning. So, I'm actually looking up what the fruit is, so we'll find out soon. But I guess we can start discussion about modding and spiciness, and like I said, we're not going to really be talking the exact programs and stuff. But I guess we could start with Kayla. How did you get into to the spicy, and how comfortable were you when you first started, I guess?
I caught on to the modded game pretty early. Like, I'd say just a few months in, I started, you know, online seeing that that was an option, and I jumped on it pretty quick. I think like only 3 months in to the game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like really early on. Um, and ultimately, like, I just thought it was so cool you'd be able to get all the items instantly, right? Because it's really hard to get all the items naturally in the game.
Yes, and there's so many.
Yeah, and
How
so
many?
many. Especially now, but even with 1.0, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I just wanted to get all the items and see everything more than anything.
All right. No, wow, 3 months in, that's crazy. And to me, the biggest quote unquote spiciest thing back when we first started was people time traveling. I'm like, what? You can time travel? Like, and then there was like
Yeah.
talk online, they're gonna get rid of time travel. And it's like, well, how do you do that? Like, how about you, Kerri? How long did it take you? I know you're a little bit new. You're not as new as I am, but you've done a little bit before I got into it.
Yeah, I've only been modding for about, I think, 6 or 7 months. So
Mhm.
I consider myself a baby modder
Mhm.
still. But yeah, I mean, I was watching from the sidelines, like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And like, I would take advantage of like going to treasure islands to get items and stuff. And I'm
Right.
like, wow, like, how are they doing this? And it made me intrigued to find out more. And then once I joined the Animal Crossing Instagram community, I befriended some modders. And then it just like, oh, this is attainable. I could do this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's not too difficult as long as you have a friend holding your hand, cough, cough, wink, wink.
Tari.
It can help. It can help, and there are communities out there that do help with this stuff. They can explain it in more detail and exact stuff. It isn't easy. You can mess up your Switch, and as someone who has also definitely messed things up on his own, you got to be careful with it. And I guess let's go to you, Tari. You're kind of like in between the two. I feel like for when you started, right?
Yeah, I modded my Switch the summer of 2021.
Okay.
And I modded it, so I joined this community, and the community was full of modders.
Mhm.
Like, they had, treasure islands open all the time, and they were always doing like all this, these crazy things, like these reactions that I've never seen, and like, like stacking items and just making like these really cool things. So I was like very much involved and had friends doing it, and I wanted to do it, and I was terrified. So it took me that long to actually do it because I had the Switch you could do it on, and I was just scared. And I did it that summer, and I messed everything up that
Mm.
you could ever mess up. And I had wonderful people holding my hands and helping me, and I got through it, and here we are.
There you go. Now you have been given the name the Spicy Godmother. for all
Oh
the help
God.
you've given.
Oh jeez.
That's what we were calling you in chat.
Who gave me that name?
Not me.
Oh gosh.
So I guess when you guys first got into modding, were you inspired by others to do it, or like is it just I want more freedom? Is that the reason you guys did it? I guess we could start with we'll stick with Tari.
Mine was both. Mine was I had so many friends that were doing it, and I wanted to be able to do the same things. And I also just didn't want to have to depend on like going to a treasure island, like if it was open, or if I had to wait in a line, or like any of those things, or if I had to pay. And I was like, I can do this. I'm just going to do it. So it was everything. And the wide cam definitely too played a really big part because
Right.
I was obsessed with the pictures and I wanted to take my own.
The wide
So,
wide camera is very nice. And,
yeah.
it's probably same thing for you, right, Kerri?
Yeah, I mean, I was commissioning people to get wide angles of my past islands, and I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to do this myself.
Mm-hmm.
But the real thing that like sold me on wanting to mod my Switch was I think it was August of 2022 when the big like mod boom happened on
Oh,
Instagram
yeah,
where
it did.
everyone was making the mod swaps.
I think
I
it
was
was
like,
like
I need.
it was like August to November. I felt like.
Yeah, I remember I was on vacation that week, so I wasn't even like near my Switch, and I was
Oh,
like looking at Instagram. I was like, "What is happening while I'm gone?"
yeah.
And then I just knew I wanted to be a part of it, and like that was almost like the 3.0 update. Like it felt like.
Yeah, especially with the model swaps, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in this episode. But yeah, that was huge. Yeah, like you said, late 2020 was everybody was. It felt like everybody was doing. And I guess similar to you, Kayla, I know there are some reasons you did it, and we won't get 100% into the details. But I know you were basically helping friends get items and stuff like that. Is that a reason you got in the mod and getting the items you want and stuff?
Yeah, it was just honestly, it was just I had the Switch that could do it at first. Really, I think that's a big factor, right? Like if you already have it on hand, it's a lot more attainable than if you have to go out and try to find one of those first gen consoles.
Right. Now I know on our questionnaire here, yeah, a little peeling behind the banana, whatever the terminology is. But do you guys all have backup switches, or are you really spicy and have one switch?
I have a light.
You have a light as a backup.
Yeah.
How about
I have the Animal Crossing Switch. That was my original one, and then I have my now modded one.
how about you, Kayla?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few modded ones, and honestly, like I play the most on my light Switch though, like not modded, vanilla
Really?
style. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Oh man, let me tell you. Now that once you go spicy, you don't go back because I'm like wanting to play it every day, and I'm like, oh, it's so much fun. Even though I did think you had to have like a computer hooked up to it at all times. I was like, how am I gonna stream? Like my thing's gonna be connected. And I think Kerri, you or Tari or somebody in chat was like, no, it's Bluetooth, and I was like, dope, and I was like, oh, okay, that's easy. All right, now I understand. And it is nice. It is nice being able to have a little more freedom, and in a way, it does, like you said earlier, Kerri. It feels like a 3.0 update with some of the things you do. We'll get into that as well later in the episode. But we kind of already answered our next question, which was basically wide angle photos is a huge benefit, unlimited items, and you could change the time of day. And you can change the season, but within the program, you can also change the date as well. Buildings. Lane codes, it's in itself to me is a game changer. The road roller is you can just put whatever you want down, and it's freaking awesome. I guess let's talk a little bit about the process. And we'll start with Kayla. How was the process? Was it easy for you? Were you getting help from a Discord or from some friends?
Yeah, I mean, I think Discord, right, is the best resource for everything modded, right? But it was hard, if I'm honest. Like, I'm not the most tech savvy person, so figuring everything out. I mean, I was lucky to have my husband around to help with certain things, but it is new for both of us. So, just following the steps step by step, and when things go wrong, like you have to troubleshoot a lot, right? I think you've experienced that too, right?
Oh, yeah. I like the giggles. Yeah, I definitely, when I first did it, I won't say exactly, but let's just say I put too much on it, and I was like, oh, I don't want all the bells and whistles. I just need some of the bells. They're picking up what I'm putting down, and then I had to like redo it, and then I got it working. And then I took a break from it for a while. I stopped playing, and then I got back into it. And one day my switches would not turn it on, and then I had to just like update a few things. And then after I got all the fun stuff fixed, then I was good. And I popped in couple extra bells, and now I'm streaming some fun designs. But I hear the cackling in the corner. How about you, Tari? How was your process?
Oh, it was a disaster. It was probably I cried probably 17 times. It took like the whole entire day when I first did
Mm.
it. And excuse me, luckily I had an amazing friend who held my hand through the entire thing.
Oh.
And like she gave me the bag to breathe in, and she literally, walked me step by step through the whole thing, and I was watching videos and, all of that at the same time. And the one video I watched so many times that I thought the person that was talking was gonna, like, if they were live, would have been like, "My God, woman, pick it up already," like, 'cause
Hmm.
I watched the same part so many times. But it was a disaster. And then the first update after that, I was really, really nervous, and I got through it. And then after that, it was a piece of cake. So
Hmm. Oh, look at that. And
yeah.
and how about you, Kerri? How was your process? How long did it take you?
I was going to say, I think it was about like 2.5 hours to initially
Mm-hmm.
start the modding process and get to the point where it would turn on.
Mm-hmm.
But then I definitely did run into some hiccups. And luckily, I had a friend, Tari, who talked me off the ledge so many times and stayed on the phone with me for like an hour one night trying to help me fix files. So, I mean, I think because I modded so late in the game, there was a lot of resources out there. So
Yeah.
it actually wasn't that bad. In the moment, it felt bad, but in hindsight, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. No, I feel it. I think it took me about 4 hours, and that was because I was getting too much bang for my buck, and I was like, all right, time to reel it back a little bit. But you know what? There are trials and tribulations. Like we said, there are people out there that are always willing to help. If someone wants to, if you're listening, you're like kind of on the fence of, do I do this? Is it worth it? Do I have to be connected to a computer at all times? No, that's not the case. But definitely set a day or two aside. Like, all right, this weekend I'm gonna do it, and that's why I kept procrastinating. I was like, ugh, I know it's gonna be a lot of work, but it is worth it for many reasons. If you have the extra Switch, if you have there are sites out there that'll tell you. And if you don't, yeah, you'd have to get one online. But I feel like if you enjoy designing, or if you enjoy just not having to worry about getting items, yeah, 1,000,000% worth it. So I guess one thing, we won't talk exactly about the programs needed for this, but was there any learning curves for you guys learning, actually playing the game and using the programs at the same time? I guess we can start with Kerri.
I'm trying to think. I know when I first got set up in the program, Tari had showed me like a few things to get me started. And then we didn't talk for a few days, and I kind of got adventurous and started clicking things.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like taught myself, like, oh, if I click this, I can lay down paths. If I do this, I can move a building. And it was like kind of just like, I'm a hands-on learner. So like I have to just click things and figure out what they do. And yeah, it all worked out for me.
How about you, Kayla?
Yeah, I mean, it's when you're first learning, it's so scary. But like Kerri said, I think you just kind of have to jump in, and like,
Right.
you're gonna make mistakes.
Oh,
Most
God.
things are fixable.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't know if everybody here saw my mistake the other day where my pockets auto-filled, and I was trying to move little old Biff around the neighborhood, and his his house disappeared in my pockets, and I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And Kerri was like, I'm grabbing Tari. Tari comes in like, what the heck did you do? And I'm just like, nothing. But
Oh man.
you know what? Just talk to Nook. Daddy Nook fixed it, and we got through it.
I've deleted many villager homes, so I get it. It happens.
Even watching you play with your modded Switch on stream, it's like teaching me things. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about autofill pockets. Oh, I didn't know a house could disappear. So
Yeah.
it's beneficial watching
Yeah.
you play.
No, I've had a few people say, "Oh, this is just interesting," because I never see someone stream this. I feel like I'm one of the few people that have been doing it recently. You know, I'm sure other people have, but I'm learning. You know, it's fun, right? It's I think that's what.
Yeah.
If anybody gets anything out of this episode is, you know, it's still a game. You know, some people they feel like it may ruin the love of the game, but you know, we still love and enjoy Animal Crossing. We're just playing it a little bit different way. You know what I mean? And I might go back to playing it normal, right? Vanilla down the road, just to go back to that nostalgia feeling. But you know, for now, I'm loving the spicy life.
Amen.
I guess that kind of rolls into the last section here for the mod stuff. Would you guys say are there any pros and cons that we haven't already discussed? Kayla, maybe you could start us off.
I mean, I have had a console like banned permanently from going online.
Oh,
That is a thing that can potentially happen,
Right.
right?
Oh my.
so I
It,
guess that don't share DAs, or obviously there are other ways for it to happen, but
yeah. If I'm honest, like actually it's unclear why. And
Mhm.
like you can't exactly email Nintendo to be like, what's going on here, right?
Mhm.
So there's definitely risks to modding. I think most things, especially now, there's a lot of resources, so it's pretty, safe. And if you just are cautious, it'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the biggest con, I would say. I guess the other thing I found like having access to everything in a way was kind of overwhelming,
Mhm.
kind of it can do both where it like can make you feel more creative, but sometimes like the overload of options just it's like you can't focus on one one theme anymore. You want to do everything, and
Sometimes
obviously
you get too many options.
yeah, sometimes I don't know. I see both. I think that's why I do like playing on my light console too, because I can still get items in that when I need them, but it's like in between spicy and vanilla, I guess.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Definitely could be overwhelming, and 1,000%. What about you, Tari? Any pros or cons?
Um, in a way, I definitely agree with Kayla on some levels. Like sometimes it is a little overwhelming, and I think you get to that point like that you want to be a little bit more like nostalgic or vanilla or whatever term you want to use for that. But for me, a lot of the times a con is that people judge me because of being a modder. Like they'll
Oh,
be like, "Oh, well, she only could design that good because she's a modder." And
right.
like that to me bothers me more than anything because I'm like, well, I didn't mod for a really long time and I thought I did things just as well. Like I didn't think that modding it made me better at it. Do you know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. No, yeah.
And like so that like to me that's a con because like I don't hear that about like my other friends. They'll be like, oh, they're so creative, they're so amazing, and then like for me they're like, oh, well, she's a modder, that's why she's so fast and good, and I'm like, oh, well, that's not nice.
I'm sorry. I'm
So
sorry you've gotten backlash for that. And just to
Yeah.
anybody out there, it
yeah.
is not easy designing. Let me tell you, as someone who does architecture and have seen designs, whether it's Animal Crossing, game related, real life, designing is hard. And also, designing is also perspective. And everybody has a different taste. You know what I mean? So, like, there's so many different, like, variations ways you could do things. If you don't like it, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
just another way of playing. You're still playing Animal Crossing. You know what I mean? So, and I guess, how about you, Kerri? How about your pros or cons for you?
I mean, other than what Kayla and Tari said, I kind of miss the window shopping aspect of looking for items. And I
Yeah.
feel like I used to know the names of every item. And like now I go to type in an item and I'm like, what's that called? I feel like I just like lost all the knowledge of items I ever knew. Cause now I'm like, wait, I have to like recall this rather than like seeing an item and picking it up.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Agreed.
Oh, I do that. I definitely do that.
I agree definitely with the window shopping because that's an advantage of Treasure Island. You just roam around, you see all these items like, ooh, oh, that would look great, whereas
Yeah.
just clicking buttons and seeing a little tiny PNG file and you're just like, I think that'll work, Definitely seeing it in game makes a huge difference, especially for size. If you haven't used something in a while, you're like, how big is this? And then you got the giant elephant looking thing, you know what I mean?
That's a great item.
That is the worst item to get on HHP.
Why?
It's ginormous. You know what? You fill it up with a box and put some walls and columns around it and call it a day.
It makes a really good roof.
A roof?
Yeah, if you're making like, I don't know, like an alien fast food restaurant.
Oh, well, I mean, you're a pro at that. But, only a good designer would see that, Tari, so.
I'm just saying.
Well, I guess we'll move in a little bit. We're going to stick with design aspects and ideas. What are your guys' thoughts on model swapping? We'll let Kerri go first this time, seeing how we left with her with no pros and cons last time.
So I was super like gung ho, ready to try all the model swaps. And it was like fun for a moment. And I was making a bunch of builds for photos. And then I invited a friend over, and literally they just saw like gold caskets and shoes everywhere. But I was seeing like an ice skating rink and a lit up blue tree. So I was like, wait, you can't see what I see. And it kind of like, I don't know. It was good for photos, but it's not as fun when everyone can see it. So
Yeah.
I haven't used any model swaps in a while.
Yeah. No, I could feel that. That's how I kind of felt about it too. If other people can't see it, that's tough. But how about you, Kayla? What are your thoughts on model swapping? And if anybody doesn't know what model swapping is, it's like making the Nook's roof a different color or taking certain items out and making them look like other ones.
For me, like aesthetically, they can be amazing, of course, but I think like playing that style, it's just not for me.
Yeah. All right. And how about you, Tari?
So for me, I got to play with model swaps before they became like a big craze and like before everybody started making them. So like I thought they were really cool, but like the first time that I had a model swap on one of my islands, it wasn't modded, so I couldn't see what the person was seeing. Like I placed south poles around, and then my friend came over and took pictures, and they were gigantic palm trees in her pictures. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, but I couldn't see it. But the picture, I was like, wow, that's so cool. And then when I modded my Switch, she had made me a gigantic tomato for Rotini.
I remember that.
And that was the coolest thing ever. And that's when I learned that, like, I knew that nobody else could see it, but like I would have friends come over, and it was a bunny day basket, and they would like literally get eaten by the tomato, because like it was massive, and they'd run through it, and I couldn't see them anymore, but they were sitting next to a bunny day basket inside of my tomato. So I think they're really fun to play around with, but like what Kerri said, like they're great for pictures, and they're great, like, if you're just playing by yourself. But like I personally very much enjoy playing with friends and having friends over and just the social aspect of the game.
Right.
So not all my friends can see that, and even my friends that are modded, they have to download those swaps in order to see them, to come over. Like they just can't see them.
Right.
So it takes a lot of the fun out of it.
I agreed. As far as like if you're looking at Animal Crossing as an art form, you want to just post your photos or little videos, I think it's perfect. It's great. But as far as people be able to visit a dream address and never be able to, or or they won't be able to see what you're seeing, or having friends over, I think that's a big part of it. And that's also shows what Animal Crossing is about. It's about design, but it's also about the friends, the play dates, all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So true.
That's
even the ones I use, like even like on my last couple islands, I did use a couple, but they looked normal to you. Like, so if you came over, it wasn't like a pair of shoes. It would be a coconut tree to you, but to me, that coconut tree had bananas on it.
Yeah.
So like it kind of worked out a little bit.
right.
So I still kind of played with it, but like it wasn't ruining the aesthetic for everyone.
Right. And that kind of
So
goes into our next portion of the discussion, which is like normal builds versus modded builds. And I would think we can kind of specify modded builds in multiple ways. One being builds that look better in wide angle. Looking at you, Carrot. Um, also, we already talked about model swapping. But sometimes you don't even do model swapping. You can put items where they can't normally go. Trees on edge of cliffs, flowers in water, that kind of stuff. And I guess you guys could just maybe say, obviously you don't have to talk about which one you like better, but if you've worked on a normal versus a modded, maybe like your trials and tribulations doing that. And we can start with you, Tari.
I think that I would say I like them equally the same. I do very much enjoy doing a modded build that everyone can see. So I don't think I can ever go back to placing trees normally.
Oh,
Just being able to place them closer together, just that more natural feel, the flowers and the wheat and the like things in the water, I just find so intriguing.
right.
Like the long bridges, things like that. I just think those are really cool, and I very much enjoy and have so much fun playing with those. But I also very much love just the normal build of just being creative and trying to figure out like how these items can work together to make something that isn't what they are. Like I love to put things together and see how I can create something really cool using something that you would never think of using. So,
Yeah, and there are a lot of designers out there, and one of them, a good friend of ours, is Storybrooke, aka
mhm.
Mel, and she does all these, I guess you could call them normal builds, but like you said, she's figuring out ways to make buildings or football stadiums, and it's just like
Oh yeah,
crazy
she's so creative.
combinations, and it's just like someone would think, oh, you must be a modder. No, you know what I mean? You can have access to items that you need to make things go quicker, but as far as
Yeah.
creativity and the way you design things, you don't
Oh,
have to
not at
build it
all.
in a modded way. You know what I mean? So,
No, not at all.
how about you, Kayla? I know Tari already talked about it a little bit, but do you have a preference for normal builds or modded builds, or have you seen something out of either or that kind of stuck out to you?
Uh, I mean, most of my favorite creators are still not modded
Right.
on Instagram, anyways. I just think, yeah, same as Tari, like the creativity of pushing the boundaries just within the standard game, it blows my mind. And like, obviously, I'm someone who's been modded and had those options for a long time.
Right.
So seeing like the vanilla builds and the community grow in the way that the creativity has gone, like beyond what I ever could have imagined, right?
Yeah, far from the beginning of this episode where Tari said she put two public benches and a vending machine next to
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Eh, eh,
But I mean, when I see modders that have done something that I've never seen before too, that'll blow
mhm,
my mind just as
right.
much, right?
Yeah, I think I
Oh
saw
yeah.
someone did a Nook's Cranny. I won't say the creator, but just
With the donut.
oh, I
Oh,
I do
that's
remember the donut. The donut was the go, but no, there was another one like the
so
Nook's
epic.
Cranny was like all like off white with like a red roof. I was like, yo, we should be able to customize all the buildings.
Oh yeah.
I think that was during the model swap phase. But Kerri, seeing how you are a spicy baby like me with our switches, you have been doing normal builds, but with like wide angle and the modded views. But I want give us your opinion as well on normal versus modded and your experiences.
Yeah. So I have about 5 DAs that I did on my vanilla Switch before I was modded, and I always built normally. And then this past island, I finished Stabsburg. That was my first island building on the modded Switch, and I built with the wide angle camera, and that was definitely a learning curve because I built it to my like aspect, like how I was seeing it, not
Right.
thinking like, oh wait, these layers won't be seen by a normal
Right.
vanilla Switch. So that it was a learning curve, that island, kind of a realization like, oh, I got to look at this from like different angles and how
Mhm.
everyone would view it. So yeah, I mean, I love building with my modded Switch, so I got to learn that little in between, how it's accessible to everyone.
Right. Well, I'm kind of glad that you did that because it kicked me in the butt to get mine back to working order. You were like, please. Even though that did, give Tari a little extra work to do as
Oh,
well.
please.
But, I need to see the wide
No
angle.
big deal.
It made me laugh.
I appreciate that so much.
But you know what though? Now I got the 60-second tours that I do now because I can run through everything and no collision. So you know
Let's
what? We didn't talk
Tasmanian
about that.
devil.
No collision for the island tour stuff is nice.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is. And we kind of talked about your guys' experience with designing, but I know Tari talked about as well as laying trees down, and I mentioned it earlier, like pathing. Like, oh, it's just it saves so much time. And if anybody listeners don't know, there's a tool you can use, and on your computer you can place the paths exactly where you want, which one you want. Go into a house, come back out, and boom, there's all your fancy patterns that you like. And I guess something we could talk about, because I know all of you and me as well, we've all had play dates together. How is being the spicy one, or even having a couple, spicy or modded people together? How does that change photo shoots? And I guess we'll start with Kerri again.
It is so fun when you're with vanilla players. Like, I know we're not all physically together, but I can like imagine their jaws dropping whenever I go and run through a building or do the Nico high jump.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time I saw it, it was Tari.
Yep.
I had built a circus build. I was like, I'd love a wide angle photo. And I invited her over. And like, she's like, don't mind me. And just like ran right into the circus. I was like, whoa, what is she doing? So it's really fun.
Right. Oh yeah. No, I think one of the first times I saw you do that jump, Tari, was Route 66 Island Tour.
Oh,
And I was like on the cliff and you ran down and you were like in the water, and then I was like posing, and then you were just like, wee, and I think I was like hysterically I was like laughing. I just couldn't stop laughing.
Because you let me drown there after.
Yeah, I did let you drown. Well, you got payback on me in one of my recent Instagram posts.
Yeah,
but,
true.
how about you, Kayla? I know I've played with you, and it's really fun watching you come over, and you're just like pooping out items. You're just like, oh, what do you need? Poop, 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 poop. They're just poofing out. But how about you with a play date?
Yeah, I think being able to drop any items you want impromptu is the best part of it, because I mean, it just makes it, you don't have to plan out too much for photo shoots, and that you can just go play around, and if you get an idea, drop the outfits, drop the items, and it's fun.
It is, and I know you were kind of already talking a lot of. I think we started with Kerri, but Tari, you have a lot of experiences with play dates as well. How do you like being the spicy one?
Oh, I love it. It's just a lot of fun. I like going and putting myself into weird positions and
popping your head outside of a display case.
Just being silly. And it makes it even
classic.
Yeah. Yeah, I love to drown. But it's even more fun too, like that there's so many more people that are doing it. And like when you're on like a group thing with people that can do it with you, like it I don't know, it kind of adds to it. Like we do like umbrella dolls and like, like you sit there and stick your head in a fish tank next to your friend. And like, I don't, it just makes it a lot of fun. I just have a lot of fun with it.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Play dates are fun. We got to have one soon. We got to have like a spicy adventure soon on somebody's island.
That would be fun.
That would be. So I guess give me one of your guys' funniest, and I didn't ask you this as well, and also scariest moment where you're like, oh crap, what happened? Funniest and scariest moment you've had while using mods. Obviously floating through items and weird glitches, but maybe something that you guys have had recently, and we'll go back to Tari.
Oh God. So the scariest thing was probably the very beginning when I flattened my island with like all the modding software, and I didn't know like with layers, like how you have like layer 1 and layer 2, and I didn't flatten layer 2, and I was making this like surprise like area for a friend, for like a party for her, and I was like running and rushing, and trying to get it done and trying not to tell on myself because I'm not good at holding in surprises. And every time I would put stuff down, a taco pillow would appear on top of things, like no matter what I did. And it, because I had a taco stand in this area and I didn't delete layer 2, and I had like taco designs on like on the cushions. And so every time I'd place something on just like by myself in game, it registered that cushion and it would sit on top of it. And I thought I broke my island. Like I was freaking out that I broke my island. And, I went to a friend and they were like, did you clear layer 2? And I did that and it worked. But that was really terrifying at the time.
I forgot about the layer 1 and 2 stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably the most recent one was when I was doing Route 66. A fear is I was flipping how you can have multiple saves, and I was working on Route 66 and I didn't like back up my save, and I went onto a different island to help out a friend. And when I went back onto Route 66, I lost all my progress. Like everything that I had done was gone, and I just started to cry. And I found, luckily the game has like auto saves, and I went through my auto saves and I was able to recover most of my island. But like I was going to quit. I was crying, it was the end. So that was my scariest 2 moments with modding.
Oh man. How about you, Kayla? Any funny or scary or crazy moments?
I mean, the save file thing is always scary. That happens to everyone too. That's a real thing. Deleting your save files and
oh yeah,
losing all your progress. But I mean, really, like most things can be fixed by a restart, right? Nothing's that scary. I think that just the funniest, like I don't do the modded reactions at all. I don't use that software. But the first time I saw Tari come to my island and do like where she's just ahead in the items, like I couldn't stop laughing. That was so funny.
How about you, Kerri?
So probably the funniest glitch I've ever seen is when I was on my vanilla island, but I was taking wide angle photos with my spicy, and I was in camera mode and I ran out of the ocean because I was getting a far away shot, and my head was just a head walking on the sand. Like I was a floating head. And then I learned it was actually a trick, and Tari helped me for like a melting snowman photo once where we both had our heads in the sand. I was like, oh, this is a cool little glitch. But other than that, I mean, when I first started modding, whenever I made like a river with the software and I like came out of a building because I didn't know I had to reset, it was just like a black void on my island. I was like, oh my gosh, I just ruined everything. And then I learned that you had to save and quit and come back in, and then it was a river. But it was just like this black ominous hole. I was like, oh no, everything's ruined.
I think that was me day one when I was doing spicy builds on stream was, I got rid of the terraforming. And I think Tari came in during this one too. I'm like, why am I floating on the second tier? Although there's nothing here. You gotta restart. Like, okay, let me line us out, save it, and get in and get back. And yeah. Also, I think a similar thing to the water. Like the water wasn't showing. It was just a big pit. And one thing that
Mhm.
happened this week on stream is I was just like, I'm just gonna go swimming, and I just went and I just kept swimming. Oh no! Oh, remember I had the staircase in the corner of my map.
Yeah.
I still don't know how I got there. I'm sure it was one of my early day things where I just like, oh, let's just throw stuff anywhere we want. I was like, why is there a log staircase next to the top left of the water where you can't go
Yeah,
past?
in the water.
In the water. You guys didn't know I was gonna do under an Atlantis theme.
It would be pretty cool if you could actually do that. It
That
really would be.
That would be. You know what? It kind of rolls into our next question. I just thought of this question without even reading my sheet. But what do you guys think the next game will be? And I guess you guys can expand a little bit, and you guys can just pick whoever wants to talk first. But what's the next game gonna be like? And what kind of builds are we gonna get? It'd be cool to do like an underwater theme, or just like maybe the whole island can change styles. I don't know. I want give me the craziest ideas you've heard of or you can come up with, guys.
I don't know. New Horizons is so good. It's like, what else could they add? But I've been playing Pocket Camp on my phone recently, and the villagers are so interactive with items. Like there's a pool, and some of them are splashing their feet in it. Some are
Right.
laying on a float. I'm like, I wish this was in the game, like more interactive. Like there's a skate park, and they're riding a skateboard. I'm like, this would be so cool.
That would be
like,
cool.
The actual game. So just like more interactive things.
I love that idea.
Oh,
Interactive item, a little skate park, or like if you give them an amusement park item, you see them on the Ferris wheel. Like how cool that see.
Exactly.
See Biff chilling on the the spinny wheel, or see Flurry playing hopscotch. Yes, interactive items. I'm down for that.
I think it would be really, really cool, like, because I don't know if the next game would be an island. Because I mean, I'd never played the older games, but I mean, they weren't all islands, So
Right.
maybe if like you could do like almost like The Sims, like when you buy the expansions and that you just get that like general menu where you can choose what kind of area you could go into. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be really cool if you could do that.
Okay, so maybe like a different neighborhood you can choose from.
Yeah, like if you wanted to do like a more rural setting, like you could choose that. If you wanted to do like a city, you could choose that. If you wanted to do a deserted island, you could choose that, like just having like, I don't know, some kind of option to it. And like maybe there'd be villagers that were more based on those type things. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I love that idea. And maybe even terraforming. Like if it's city, you're terraforming, it looks like, a skyscraper.
Yeah, it could be
like
different.
that.
Yeah,
You know
like you
what I
could have
mean?
more levels or, like to make it, I don't know. I think that would be neat.
or an underground one.
Uh-huh.
Underground theme. Like everything's underground.
Yeah,
That would be cool. Caves,
That would be sweet.
Yeah.
Or even if you did like, so I'm doing space right now, but like if you did a space island that you could make it actually look like
Wait.
You were in space, like the
Wait.
sky and all that.
Sorry, I just got a crazy idea, and I'm cutting you off. And I said I wouldn't do this. I'm sorry, but
No, it's okay.
what if they were like little planets?
Yeah, like that would be sweet.
Like I mean,
almost like
it's already designed that way. Have you guys seen Boundary Break episode?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna send you guys a link, and he expands out the camera, and the whole game is literally a tube. That's how Nintendo
cool.
designed the game. Yeah, if you guys Boundary Break is amazing channel, and you walk around the island, and it's a literal tube, and
that's cool.
And it's in some of the buildings they modeled all the way around. They're not fully designed, but some of them have like colors and stuff. But what if it was just like little planets? And you can run
Well, when
around
you
wherever.
said that, I thought of my husband plays Destiny. Have you ever heard of Destiny?
Yes, that was
And
in this week's episode. If you listen, go listen to episode 9.
I didn't hear this one yet. I didn't hear it yet.
Well, go listen to episode 9.
But my husband has been playing that game since it came out, and that's what it is. Like when he's on his like menu, you can see like, well, I don't think anymore because it's, I don't know, 17th million season, but you could see like all the planets and like you could choose like which one to go. Like I just thought that was cool. That's what I thought of when you said planets.
Yeah. Oh, how about I don't know if Kayla or Kerri have spoken yet, but what would you like to see in the next game?
I think they're going to give us a lot more items that can be customized and can be
Yes.
used for building materials. I think they're going to know that that's what was the big hits this time.
Yeah, I agree. And if anything, if anybody here played Breath of the Wild, Nintendo definitely took what people were doing in Breath of the Wild for the sequel, Tears of the Kingdom. Like in the new video, you can like build cars and ships, and I'm just like, they were definitely watching people try to make crap. If they saw people do that in Zelda, they're gonna see there's a huge community for Animal Crossing, people making buildings and stuff. You know what I mean? Like they got to give us more customized items.
Absolutely.
How about you, Kerri? Oh, sorry, Tari.
I was just gonna say I just started Zelda and I love it. But go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I mentioned the interactive items earlier.
Yeah.
But like also if they implemented like more of like the happy home paradise, like have a school you could decorate, have a like retail businesses that you could add and customize on your island. That would be so cool. And even the decorating aspect.
Right. Oh, that would be so cool. I would adore that idea. The school, and I'm going to keep using him as an example because I know one of our listeners hates Biff, but you can see Biff in the school learning, and Biff going to class and Biff checking out this and that and the shade I'm going to get after this episode releases.
I think it's hilarious.
Well, who was your favorite? Who's your favorite? Or
don't you start. Don't you bring that up.
Cough, cough, bangle.
Don't you dare.
Actually, you know what? Let's do that before we outro. I want everyone's like maybe one or two favorite villagers and one or two least favorites. Let's get some people on the internet rampaging about who we say. Actually, you know what? I'll start. I love Sherb, Henry, or Kiki because I can't stick to my own rules. And least favorite, I think it's too easy saying one of the gorillas. I'll be honest. I think everybody says that easily. So you guys can. Least favorites. I'm gonna go with Phoebe because she was so mean to me when I first started my island. And I forget the mouse name, but she's like purple. I don't think the mice are attractive looking characters at all. So yep. Don't at me guys on Twitter. That's how I feel. How about you, Kayla?
My favorites are Tasha and Mitzi. And my least favorite of every villager is Lionel. I hate Lionel.
Poor Lionel.
Can't do Lionel.
How about you, Kerri?
My top three are Teddy, Tipper, and Pietro.
Oh.
And then my least favorite, most hated, can't stand him, is Mac the dog.
Oh, no.
He was my starter on my first island, and he would never leave. And he just bugged the heck out of me.
Oh, no. That's so funny, though. That's funny. Oh, man. How about you, Tari?
My faves. That's kind of hard, but it's Dobie, definitely. Ketchup, and I kind of like Apollo a lot. My least faves, Bangle, she can go somewhere. Like, for real. I don't like Rocket. And, oh my God, who's the other one that Sherb.
How dare you? Well, guys, we're only going to have two guests this week. I'm going to mute the entirety of Tari's portion of the episode. I feel attacked.
I'm sorry. I'm a Sherb hater.
I feel attacked. And now I know how our listeners are going to feel when we're egging on their favorite. You know what, though? That's why there's 400 plus villagers, so everybody can have their own. You know what I mean? Everybody can have their favorites. So,
exactly.
Actually, one thing I didn't ask, and I do like to ask whenever I talk to some people about Animal Crossing, who were your starters? I know, I think Kerri said Mac, but who were your two starters, guys? We'll start with Kerri.
I had Mac, and then your favorite Phoebe.
Oh God, Phoebe. She can go
I
in the
kinda
freaking.
like her.
She can go in the volcano house that her design is after. She was just so mean to me. Like even when like I got like a bug on my eye, she's like, "Oh God, what's wrong with you?" I'm just like, "Damn, like give me the medicine." And then like just
Spunky.
always no. She was being major B word, and I won't
little
say it in
fireball.
chat. But Tari, who were your starters?
My first starters were Cat and Boots.
Boots and cats and boots and cats.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
how about you, Kayla?
I can only remember one. I'm amazed you guys can all remember both of them.
Ooh.
But I had Sprocket, which is
Oh.
a really funny one. The green robot.
Yeah.
He's
I like
cute.
him.
That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good starter.
I kept him for a really long. Like, I think he still might even be on my one island.
Oh man! All right. Well, let's get ready to roll out of here. I need everyone. You guys love these questions. You can give me a favorite all time or just a favorite recent one you've seen, a TV show or a movie. So let's stick with Kayla.
All time's got to be Waterworld, guys. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's an epic.
Waterworld. The 1995 movie?
Yeah, that's the one.
Looking up.
Is Mel Gibson in that? Am I thinking of the right movie?
Is that Hugh Jackman? Who is in this movie? Oh, Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. That's who. That's who.
What? These screenshots. What the heck?
I do remember that movie.
You know what? I'm gonna read the description. In a future where the polar ice caps have melted and Earth is almost entirely submerged, a mutated mariner fights starvation and outlaw smokers, reluctantly helps a woman and a young girl try to find dry land. That is not where I thought the story was going. As I'm right now watching the VHS original trailer. Wow, that is a selection, I gotta say.
It's a class.
Honestly, I might watch it just to see what it's about because I don't remember this movie at all.
You should absolutely watch it.
God, I feel like you're trolling me and you actually hate the movie. You just want to give me.
No, I do love that movie and I watch it often, but I was expecting you to know what it is, so Parrot, honestly.
Well, wait, Kerri, Tari, do you guys know the movie?
Yeah, I know it.
I don't.
Okay, good. Well, we're gonna go with the one that doesn't. Kerri, what is your favorite TV show or movie?
I would say my favorite all-time TV show is Breaking Bad. I
Ooh,
love
good
that and Better Call Saul. I could rewatch it anytime. I've probably seen it 4 times the whole season. I just love it.
And how about you, Tari? Is any of your favorite things related to blue water or blue meth?
No. That's a hard one. I have a lot of favorites, but I mean, I guess a movie. I don't know, maybe like Wedding Crashers or like Step Brothers, like
Both are great selections. And now I know your
Talladega
personality.
Nights. Like I don't know, one of those probably.
Guessing you like Will Ferrell is what you're telling us, or Vince Vaughn.
You know, I like old Will Ferrell.
Me too. Old
If
school.
that makes
Will Ferrell.
sense. Yeah. Old School's another good one.
No, well, great selections. Great selections. Other than Waterworld, which I've never heard of in my entirety of my life. You know what? If anybody here's heard of this movie, go comment on YouTube and say, I've seen it. You know, we'll respond. We're doing a good job of responding to all the YouTube comments. And favorite quote. Let's go with Kerri. Favorite quote. Something that you can, listen to day to day, or you hear it every once in a while and you're like, oh, that either inspires you or makes you laugh. What is it?
Something that has stuck with me for years. It was a quote from a movie, American Beauty. And it's so hard to stay mad when there's so much beauty in the world.
Mm.
I know it's like cheesy, but it's so true. When I have a bad day, like look at the sky and I'm like, you know what? I can't be that mad. There's so much beauty.
I like that one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that's cute.
How about you, Tari?
Oh gosh, I didn't mean that.
Putting you on the spot.
I really don't know. Oh man.
Life's like a
When
box
I
of
was
chocolates.
Yeah. No, well, when I was younger, I always used to do that James Dean quote, like live like you'll die tomorrow or something like that. But
Right.
I don't know. I'm not really
I think that's a good
an
one.
inspirational word kind of person.
No,
I don't know.
No, I think that one works. It kind of goes along with Kerri's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Live like there's no tomorrow and enjoy today. You know what I mean? A lot
Yeah.
of beauty out there. A lot of beautiful islands too, guys. For all these Animal Crossing islands. We're sticking with that
For
thing.
sure.
Kayla, last but not least.
There's a piece of a Walt Whitman poem I always think of. It's have I contradicted myself? Oh well. I contain multitudes, and it just essentially is, maybe your feelings change and other people's feelings change situation to situation and day to day. And, kind of just good to remember that sometimes, right? Like things aren't always simple.
1,000%. We aren't the same person we were yesterday, are we?
That's so wise. I like that.
Just made up it on the spot. You know what? I think this was a great conversation, guys. And I hope everybody that listens in lets us know, please. All the comments on YouTube, listens on Spotify, wherever else you listen to your podcast. They really help, whether you're commenting on social media. Don't forget, we're also on Twitter, also on Instagram. And yeah, I appreciate you guys being here and hope you all have a wonderful rest of your days. And I know it's the like the day after here from recording. Happy Women's Day, and unintentional having you on today's episode. But yeah, thank you guys for being on. If you guys don't already, we're gonna put Kayla, Tari, and Kerri's socials down in the description. You guys can follow them there. And with that, hope you guys all have a great day. And we'll come back with some more maybe more spicy talk down the road if this episode does well and you guys want to hear more from these amazing creators. Let us know. So have a good one, guys, and I'll talk to you later.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.